Types of relations. There are four main types of relations, and these are one-to-one relations, many-to-one relations, one-to-many relations, and many-to-many relations. One-to-one relation. In a one-to-one relation, we want to see that each member in the domain has one image in the codomain. So when we have a look at the first diagram, this is the domain, and each of them has one image in the codomain. And because of that, we say that this is a one-to-one relation. The same thing can be said of the second diagram. Each member of the domain has one image in the codomain. So the image of A is 1, the image of B is 5, the image of C is 3, the image of D is 2. And it doesn't matter if a member in the codomain is not mapped. So this is a one-to-one relation. So this is a type of relation in which each value in the domain is mapped to one value in the codomain. Now when it comes to the ordered pairs, there is these two things that we need to look out for. First of all, we have to make sure that none of the x values is repeating. For example, when you look at the x values, or the first number in each bracket from the first set of ordered pairs, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You notice that none of these numbers is repeating. And at the same time, you have to make sure that none of the y values is repeating. The y values are the second numbers in each bracket. So, in that same example, we have 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. None of these is repeating. And the same thing can be said of the second example. So that is what we look out for to be able to determine whether it is a one-to-one relation. Many-to-one relation. This is a type of relation in which more than one value in the domain is mapped to one value in the codomain. When we look at the diagrams, in the first diagram, this is the domain where the arrows start. And you will notice that there are 3 numbers that are mapped to just one number in the codomain. And because of that, we say that this is a many-to-one relation. The same thing can be said of the second diagram. We have A and B, both of them mapping to 2. Then we also have C and D, both of them mapping to 5. So, in the ordered pairs, this is what we look out for to be able to determine whether it is a many-to-one relation. First of all, none of the x values should repeat. So when we look at the examples, let's take example 2. We have A, B, C, and D. None of them is repeating. So that is what we have there. And then we have to find out if there are any y values that are repeating. So if the x values are not repeating, but there is a y value that is repeating, then it means it is a many-to-one relation. So for example, we can see that over here we have 9, and then 9, and then 9. The y values, or the second numbers, are repeating over there. So that is a many-to-one relation. In the same way, in the second example, we can see 2 here and 2 here. We can also see 5 here and 5 here. So whenever the y values are repeating, but the x values are not repeating, then we have a many-to-one relation. One-to-many relation, which is the opposite of many-to-one relation. This is a type of relation in which one value in the domain is mapped to more than one value in the codomain. So when we look at the diagrams, we'll notice that 1 has been mapped to 3, 5, and then 9. And in the second diagram, we'll also notice that A has been mapped to 1 and 3, and D has been mapped to 5 and 6. So we have one-to-many relation. In case of the ordered pairs, we want to find out if there are any x values repeating. So if any of the x values are repeating, but none of the y values is repeating, then we have a one-to-many relation. So for example, we have 1, 1, 1. They are all x values and they are repeating in that ordered pair. But when we check the y values, we have 3, 5, 9, 11, and 15. None of them is repeating. So in that case, we have one-to-many relation. Then finally, we have many-to-many relation. This is a type of relation in which more than one value in the domain is mapped to more than one value in the codomain. So when we look at the first diagram, you will notice that we have 1 being mapped to 3, 5, and 9. And at the same time, we have 1 and 2. Both of them have been mapped to 5. So we can see that we have a one-to-many and at the same time a many-to-one in that same relation. Okay, another example, I have 3 being mapped to 11 and 17. So that is one-to-many. And in that same relation, I have 2 and 3 being mapped to 11, which is many-to-one. So because of that, we say that this relation is many-to-many. The same thing can be said of the second example. You can see that A is mapped to 1 and 2. So that is one-to-many. And at the same time, we can see that A and B are mapped to 2. So that is many-to-one. So wherever we have one-to-many and many-to-one in the same relation, then we call that relation a many-to-many relation. Also, if we are given some ordered pairs, this is what we look out for. We have to make sure that some of the x values are repeating, and at the same time, some of the y values are also repeating. So in the first example, you can see that 1, 1, and 1, they are all x values and they are repeating. And in that same example, we can see that 5 and 5, they are y values and they are repeating. So that's what makes it many-to-many. The same thing can be said of example 2. We have A and A as the x values, and then we also have 2 and 2 as the y values repeating. So these are the types of relations. We have